Hi, Jessica. Thank you for doing this with us. We appreciate it. I'm Teresa Gilliland, and you know Holly. so, uh,
Hello.
and our podcast, Beauty for Ashes, we've actually had one interviewee, haven't we? So, you're our second. So, thank you for
That's great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We're trying to focus on women's issues and just the different things that that affect families, and just bringing a very normal and down to earth, nuts and bolts. This is someone from the trenches giving us details, letting us know how to get help, giving us information that maybe someone that hasn't reached, doesn't know how to reach out for help would then have more information. So, thank you for being on.
Yeah, that's great. I think that as hard as we work to make sure that as many people as possible know about our services and all the different things that we do, we are always surprised by people who said, I never knew you were there. And so any opportunity that we get to be able to share that, we really appreciate it a lot.
Good. I know Teresa's prepared some questions, and I'll zip it and let her get going.
You can ask questions too, Holly. You know a lot about this too. So I guess my first question was just pretty much, could you tell us a little bit about your mission and the history of the shelter of the Safe House?
Yeah, so the Safe House was established in 1991, and our mission is to provide safe shelter and supportive services to survivors of domestic violence and abuse. And we have a couple of other aspects of our mission that are also important to us. One is to impact public policy that will help victims and survivors of domestic violence. And the other is to educate the community and to prevent domestic violence before it starts. So every day, of course, we're providing shelter to folks who have experienced domestic violence, but we're also trying to impact the entire process, from prevention to services to batterers intervention, so that we really can make an impact and see those numbers go down. So the Safe House is just over 35 years old, and it started with a group of grassroots people right here in Cape Girardeau. We're not part of some larger organization. We have our own board. We're our own 501c3, and which is why we depend so much on our community support for the services that we provide. We started with a shelter. Our original shelter on Fountain Street in Cape Girardeau had been a group home that we converted into a shelter. It had 17 beds and one bathroom. And they made that work for a long time. And then in 2019, we built a new larger shelter that's 40 beds, 10 bedrooms, many bathrooms, and we served double the number of people in that first year that we had served in the last year in the old building. Just goes to show what the need truly was, that there really was such a demand for those services, and we knew we weren't meeting the need, and now we're much more able to do so.
And then those children, because that's something I think that folks also don't know, is that you're taking in families.
Absolutely, we are, yes. So at least half of the women who come into our shelter have their children with them. And so we have a 10-bedroom shelter. 5 bedrooms are for moms with kids, so they have their own private space. The other, there's 4 other bedrooms that are for single adults, so 2 women can have a roommate, share a room. And then on our main floor, we have a separate bedroom with its own bathroom that we can use for a variety of different purposes, but one of them is so that we can house men if we need to. And we house anywhere from 2 to 5 men a year in our shelter, but they're on the main floor. Everyone else is upstairs. And that's been really positive, actually. That was something, of course, we were never able to do before. And we're just realizing that lots of different kinds of people and families can experience domestic violence, and we don't want our lack of facilities to be a barrier to them being able to break free from that situation. So we just try to house as many people as we can.
That's awesome. That is incredible. And I'd never thought about it, unfortunately, but God works everything to the good of his people. I grew up and had experience with domestic violence shelters. My mother has been in them multiple times, my sister as well. you are the first that I have experienced, and of course, I experienced that as a legislator. So maybe maybe it went on before, but and I just didn't know it. But you were the first that I saw that was proactive in working on public policy and trying to work on prevention and classes for people who are going through this to help them with the future and to help them. And then I found out, that there's also classes to help abusers not abuse, because of course there are also that category of people who are like, I don't want to be this.
Right.
But anyway, so
Yeah. So
I had to add that in because it
those
was
two programs are really important to us. So our prevention program, we have a youth violence prevention educator. She's also a social worker. So she goes into all the schools in our region, and she reached like over 2,500 students last year. Junior high and high school is our target. So right as they're starting their dating relationships and then really getting serious about dating. And we talk about healthy relationships and safe dating. And we start in junior high talking about how to be a good friend. And because, social skills are the root of every relationship, including romantic relationships. And so we try to build a firm foundation there, and then it gets more advanced and more age appropriate, throughout until we get into high school. And then we're really trying to prepare those seniors in high school for the real world, right? And to be able to make independent decisions and that kind of thing. So we love that program. United Way helps us with that program and makes it possible for us. And then on the batterers intervention side, we've had a batterers intervention program for about 7 years, and it is certified through the Missouri Office of Probation and Parole. So all of our batterers are referred to us. They cannot be released from probation and parole until they complete it. It's a 6-month weekly class, and it is very focused on accountability to yourself and to the other members of the class. And there's homework, and there's high expectations for what you'll do and how you'll participate in that class. And if either the facilitator or your group participants don't feel like you're putting in the effort, then you get another week or 2 or 3 or 4 added until they feel like you've done what you need to do there. And so there's been more than one occasion where we served the client who was the victim, and then we had the batterer in our BIP program, and we're just trying to stop the cycle.
Does a judge have to tell them they have to go to that?
Yes, they have to. It's a condition of their parole or their probation, whichever. Yeah.
I'm going to say women, just for the value of the.
8% probably of our clients are women. So
if a woman is battered, it has to have, ex parte order, yada, yada, guy breaks it, they go through the court system. Does she have to ask the judge to have him?
Yeah, it's usually not through the civil side, it's through the criminal side. And so just, having an ex parte against you will not get you into our program. It really it's somebody who has been charged with domestic abuse at some level and been sentenced. And then part of that is to come and do our program.
I like it.
Yeah, we really like it too, because we do feel like it's making a difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You got some more good questions, Teresa?
You're kind of answering there all the resources. That was kind of it was the resources.
Yeah, I can talk more about like the services that we provide. So we'll have about 250 residential clients a year, adults and children who stay in our shelter, but we have another 400 who come through this office where I am, which is our outreach office on Independence Street in Cape Girardeau. And they are non-residential. So either they were in our shelter, they transitioned out into their own safe housing, or they left a violent relationship but had somewhere safe to go. Or, in some cases, maybe their abuser went to jail, they were able to stay in their own home, or whatever the case might be. And for both residential and non-residential clients, we provide counseling free of charge. All of our services are free. So we do individual counseling and group counseling. If your children have witnessed domestic violence in the home, we have a program where we will provide counseling to their children as well. If the child was abused, we send them to the Child Advocacy Center, which in our case is SEMO NASB. We work really, really closely with them. So there's, it's kind of a fine line between whether the child was abused or whether they witnessed abuse.
Right.
And, but either way, we're going to make sure that child receives services.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I was reading some statistics, and I wish I had them in front of me, but I don't. You may have them right off the tip of your tongue. But children who go through watching their parent be abused has quite a level of trauma, oftentimes PTSD, but very embedded trauma that often getting the mother or the father to the safe place, getting the child away from the abuser is just a portion of fixing that.
Right.
And so often, I mean, how often do you think that the child then gets the counseling, the therapy that they need to kind of help unwind that?
Yeah. So it's so true that the children really need help. And, it's always been said, children are so resilient, and there is an aspect of that's true. But now we know more about what they call adverse childhood experiences, ACE, and there's actually an inventory of adverse childhood experiences that have been shown to really impact you in your physical and mental health in adulthood. And so one of those, of course, is experiencing domestic violence in the home. And so, for us, it is a very high priority. And so we really want, the parents who bring their children into the shelter or into our services, they want that too. And so, our residents and our clients are taking advantage of that opportunity for their children. And so it's just something that one more way that we want to serve people.
I wish that there was more public knowledge on that, because I can say from firsthand experience, I went through a lot as a kid, lots of things. Nothing affected me the way the years of having my mother beat so badly in front of me affected me. Still affects me. And the way it plays out is it goes one of two ways. If you have experienced domestic violence in your home as a child, your likelihood of either A, becoming a victim in adulthood, or B, becoming an abuser, both just skyrocket, and it's kind of like which fork in the road do you take, but neither one of them is healthy. And, so we don't want to see either of those things happen. And so, intervention is really the key for kids. Wow. And so does that intervention, those classes are with you, or are they with, so they're with SEMO NASB? If they've been abused themselves, if they're a victim of child abuse, then they go to SEMO NASB. But if they were just in the home while their parent was abused and they saw it and they heard it and they, and they were part of that, and like they said, the PTSD is so prevalent, then we will serve them. And we have a contract with Great Oak Counseling here in Cape, because they have child therapists. And so and the mental health board in Cape Girardeau County funds that program for us, makes it possible for us to provide therapy to children for free. Wow.
Yeah.
Teresa, I promise this is my last question for you.
You're doing great.
Okay, so you mentioned Cape Girardeau County, but you service more than Cape Girardeau.
We do. Yeah. So our traditional service area is Cape, Bollinger, and Scott counties. And then there's no shelter in Stoddard County. So we do our best to serve folks from Stoddard as well. And then, but we'll take clients from anywhere, literally anywhere. So it's like 85% of our shelter residents come from Cape Girardeau County, and 90 come from Cape, Bollinger, and Scott. But that other 10% is coming from a few different places. One is St. Louis. St. Louis is very under-resourced, especially with domestic violence shelter beds. They just don't have nearly enough. Kansas City is much better resourced for, I don't know why, but anyway, they are. So we get folks from St. Louis because if there's no beds available in their area. Sometimes we get people coming over from Illinois. I mean, we know that people from across the bridge are used to coming to Cape for all kinds of services and, life. And so sometimes we'll have people come over from Illinois. And then we also, although we're an independent agency, we are part of a network of domestic violence shelters. There's a small one in Perryville. There's one in Poplar Bluff. There's one in East Prairie, for example. And if they're full, then, they'll call us. And if we have bed space available, we'll take their overflow. And so sometimes we'll have people who've come to us from other shelters.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, Teresa, sorry.
No, it's okay. Actually, you guys are hitting every question, so it's amazing. I'm getting very educated. I think you've answered most of them.
I can tell you about some of the other services that we offer to clients besides counseling.
Yes.
One of them is court advocacy, which, most people have gone through their whole lives and they've not been involved with the court system at all. They've never had to have an attorney or anything. And so it's so intimidating, that process.
It is.
And so we have a court advocate. She's a social worker. And one of the main things that she does is she helps people file for orders of protection. We do encourage every client we have to file for an order of protection. And the main reason for that is obviously to keep you safe, but to stop contact. It's so much easier, to break away and do the things you need to do if they just will leave you alone, right? And so,
one of the things that I've learned is, look, it is hard. It's hard to not get that last word in. It's hard to not fight back. Mm-hmm. It's hard to, and when I say fight back, I mean with your words, with your content.
Right. Yeah.
But it truly does serve a purpose to cut it and walk away. It serves the purpose to stop going back and saying, but this, that, or the other. That encourages an abuser that they still have that link. You're allowing them to still be connected to you.
Right.
So you can force your system to shut it off. It does end the abuse sooner. It doesn't let it, look, it's all levels, all time frames, but.
Right. So the great thing about an ex parte and order of protection is that they can't contact you, but also you can't contact them. And so we make that really clear. It just helps people, I think. And the other thing that we'll do for people is we give them new phones with new phone numbers. And so that way, they can't contact you that way either. Because you can block people, but, they have friends, they have family that will, usurp all of that. And so if you just start fresh with things like that. So that's a big thing that we do too, is we provide people with brand new cell phones so that they have a fresh number and can't be contacted by their abuser or any of their associates. So,
I had to pick my mother up when I was 16. I had to drive to Texas and pick her up out of a shelter in Dallas. And they even had a code name. I remember it was Peaches. Because I thought, I'm 16, I'm driving to Dallas to pick her up. And I'm like, and I have to stop at this random address. And, back then we had Rand McNally's. We didn't have cell phones.
right.
Yes. I have to find this random address and knock on the door and say, Peaches. And I thought then how strange it was. The whole thing was strange. But I had lived in domestic violence for many, many years. But now as an adult, many years later, I see I see what they were doing. I see that it was, and so how do you guys, that's another portion of the work that you do is once you get a family you then also work to keep them safe.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have really tremendous partnerships with a lot of different people. So to do a lot of things. One is to keep our address confidential. So the county worked with us. And so we're not on any, like, you can't go to the recorder of deeds and see who owns our property or anything like that. And they waived our hearing with planning and zoning. And there just all these things happen to keep our location confidential. So the city, of course, waived our hearing. So that was really, exciting at the time, to see all the support that we had in that way. And then we work really closely with Cape PD, especially Cape PD, but also Jackson PD and the Cape County Sheriff's Office, the Bollinger County Sheriff's Office, you name it, all the law enforcement in our area. But Cape PD escorts people to our shelter for us so that they stay safe in the process of actually coming into shelter. And that's huge. And that is, we're wanting to protect the safety of you and your children if you have them with you, but also all the other clients, all the other residents in the shelter, and our staff. We have to keep all those people safe. So we have really tremendous security, cameras, you name it, all those kinds of safeguards. And then, and then we work really closely with the client. How has your abuser contacted you in the past? What do we need to be changing? And then we have there's a car dealership in town that we can take people's cars to, and they'll check them to see if there's tracking devices on the cars. There's no stone unturned here. We were
needed.
Yeah, because we've seen these
so
things.
Easy. Those are so small.
Yeah. And so we,
incredible.
We do everything that we can. And our clients tell us that they feel really safe. Our staff tells us they feel safer at work than they do at home because it's such, it is such a secure environment. And it's really important that people maintain that confidentiality. And so there's very few reasons why you might be asked to leave our shelter. There's really only three. One is if you drink or do drugs on the property. We're not allowed to allow that. Two is if you are violent or threaten violence, of course, because that's not what we're about, for sure. And then three is if you tell someone where you are, like the address, or you let someone drop you off, or or somehow you violate that confidentiality. Again, you've jeopardized the safety of everyone there. And so we'll try to find you another safe place to go.
I love that. Now, what about, because I've had the honor of getting to tour one of your facilities when I was the representative or senator one, I think senator. Tell us what a family, because a lot of people just don't know, when a family comes in and they're staying with you, how does that grocery shopping look? The of the meals, because it's common. There's common rooms for the kids to play. Like you have a whole setup going on there.
Yeah, we really do. Our new facility new to us, because we just opened it in 2019, has so much that what we did was we tried to incorporate what we call trauma-informed design into it. And that means it is very quiet is one of the things. And there are spaces to just spread out and either be by yourself or be just you and your kids. So you can kind of start to rebuild the relationships, with your children as well. So we have a playroom, we have a family lounge with a big TV, and we have a sunroom. We have a playground outside that's in our fenced in area. We have an adults only lounge type room. We just have places for people to be. And so when you come in, you're only allowed one bag. So, they're not coming in with a lot, and one bag per person. And then one of the beauties of having a thrift store is that people can come over here. We give them a voucher and they can get what they need for free from our thrift store. And they can do that once a month, the whole time that they're staying at the shelter. And actually, as non-residential clients, they can do that for up to 2 years, once a month.
Oh, wow.
And so when someone moves out of our shelter, they get a larger voucher, what we call an exit voucher, where they can buy furniture and household items as well.
Oh my
so God. They get what they need. We have a supply of pajamas, underwear, those immediate type things, sweats we keep on hand. And then we have all the hygiene products that will be needed. And all of those things are donated to us. We almost never purchase hygiene items or cleaning supplies. Because we have such a generous community that we really rely on to provide those things. But anyway, Your shampoo and your soap and your toothbrush and all those kind of things. We'll be sure you have all of that. And then we do go grocery shopping every week. And so we provide the food, and then the individuals can prepare what they would like.
So you guys do the grocery shopping. So
We do the shopping, and then they can do the cooking.
then a mom can come in and cook for just her kids.
Yeah.
Her kids.
And we all the time we have where 2 or 3 moms will come together and make a big meal for themselves and all their, for their whole families. And at the holidays, we have various generous donors who will come in and provide like Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, those kinds of things. We'll have a lot of times have that brought in by a donor. And then we also have a church that on Sunday evenings brings in a meal. And so actually they deliver it to one of our staff members, and then the staff member brings it to the shelter. And so, yeah. So,
go to work, come in, have a job, go to work.
oh yeah, everyone works. I mean, that is usually when we do goal setting with our clients through our case management. If they don't already have a job, their number one, after the safety and the safety of their kids, the next thing is they want to be self-sustaining. And so that means they want to work. And so we help with resume writing and applying for jobs and things. And Cape Girardeau has a pretty good job market. And so people are able to get jobs or sometimes people want to go to school. We work closely with the CTC because there's a lot of those kinds of programs that are really appealing. And so, yeah, we want to be sure that people can support themselves because, again, if they're independent and they have financial independence, then they are much less likely to feel like they don't have any choice but to go back to their abuser because that was their financial viability before. So we wanted to help them see that they can be financially independent. And there's actually a bank here in town that comes in and does budgeting and financial literacy classes for our clients.
That's needed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's needed for the general public.
Oh, it really, yes. Our staff has said we've learned a lot in those classes.
Like when Teresa and I were in high school or junior high. I didn't go to high school, junior high. We had a class that taught us checkbook, like actual entries in a checkbook, balancing that statement, all of that. No one even knows what checkbook, like I still use it, but
my kids just graduated from Cape Central and they did take a consumer financial class, but it was very eye-opening to them because they learned about credit and they learned about interest, which was a new concept to them. And I was really impressed with what they learned, but not everybody has had that, like you're saying. And so, our clients really appreciate it and get a lot out of it. So. Yeah, so we do court advocacy. We also accompany people to court because, as we said, it's a very intimidating process, especially if you're abusers in the courtroom. It's just so great to have someone by your side. And then we have all kinds of case management. So one of them is substance use recovery, and we work really closely with FCC, which is the Women's Drug Rehab Program here in Cape. But we have our own substance use recovery advocate as well. And she does an assessment with every client because the link between domestic violence and substance use is just so strong. And we see a couple of different things happening. One is people are self-medicating, because of their terrible situation that they're in. Or two, their abuser has gotten them hooked on something as a means of controlling them. Yeah. And either way, we want to help them break free from that. So we have people who will go to day treatment at FCC and live in our shelter, or they'll go into inpatient at FCC, and when they exit into our shelter. But our counselor will go ahead and start seeing them and doing counseling sessions with them while they're inpatient at FCC. So it's a pretty seamless transition. And we just see a lot of people having a lot of success with that as a result. So that has worked out really well.
Wow.
And then we do housing.
Statistics on that, on the number of women that you're taking in, or the number of cases that you deal with in a year. I'm sure that any of the statistics that I've seen that while we were working on legislation were just incredible, because I just don't think that I think a lot of times you feel like, I don't want to tell anybody this is happening because you feel like you're the only one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and there's unfortunately so much shame attributed to, that comes with being a victim of domestic violence when it's not your fault at all. Nothing that you can do would make you deserve to be treated that way.
Right.
There's literally nothing that you can do. So
Right.
it is never your fault. And yet shame, and then the other thing it does is it destroys people's self-esteem. And so that's a big thing that our counselors work on, is just rebuilding the sense of self and self-esteem. And, you are a person who is worthy of respect and safety and love,
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I was going to say, we do housing. We have a housing program through HUD where we can put 25 people a year into apartments and pay their rent for a year.
Wow.
And that is huge. So we have people who come out of our shelter and go into that program. And then we have a case manager who meets with them monthly she goes and does home visits and meets with them and continues the support. And people really, the outcomes for that are so high. And a lot of people, like we have somebody who went into that program when we first started it back in 2018, and she's still in the same apartment that she moved into in 2018. She's so sustainable, and so we love that. We love being able to provide that to people after they've gotten stabilized and, taken care of their immediate needs in the shelter. To have something longer term is really terrific.
That really is. And on the fashion show, Vintage Now, I loved how, I think it was 2 years ago maybe, that you guys had the commercial or the video of clients that wanted to, am I thinking of this right, that wanted to talk about, that they had gotten.
Yeah, like a testimonial from our
new guys,
clients.
And now they're in school or just actually completed a certificate program, working and moving forward with their life and not looking back, and just incredible testimonials.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, sometimes people ask us like, oh, that's gotta be such like depressing, work or sad work. And I'm like, if you were here every day and you saw the transformation that takes place, it's, there are days where, the things that we have heard that have happened to people, like, will stick with you, and we have to be real careful that we support one another, when those hard cases like that come through. But then to see how people come out the other side and literally their whole countenance changes, and they're just a different person. And it's extremely encouraging because you do feel like you're making a difference, which is what we're all here to do.
Yeah. So. You are. So tell me again the numbers that you've had come through in a year or this past year.
625.
In 1 year.
In 1 year. Mm-hmm.
How do you even process that many people? Like,
we stay really busy. We do. We stay really busy. And we also want to be sure that clients are getting all the help that they need. So we collaborate a lot and make sure that we do, referrals, not only to outside agencies that do other things, but also within our agency. If you meet with the case manager, do you also need court advocacy? We do an assessment, and we just give them this huge list of all the things that they might need help with. Maybe they left their birth certificate behind when they were fleeing. Maybe they left their glasses behind. Or maybe their abuser damaged their glasses or their dentures or whatever the case might be. Like, we do all that kind of stuff. We replace glasses and teeth all the time. And
you don't think about those things. I mean, you don't think
really, like, just really practical stuff. And so, and people, they go through that checklist and realize that, there's just so many things that we can help them do. And on the other end of it, they're going to be in a place where they do feel like that they can start their brand new life.
Oh my goodness. Well, before we go, tell me how you've been here long. How long have you been with Safe House?
Since 2014. Yeah.
Incredible.
So 11 years.
Is there any legislation that you've got teed up that you're wanting to work on next year?
Yeah, there's a couple. So first of all, we have to celebrate because age of marriage bill was signed like last week. So we're so excited.
Yes.
Really, really fantastic. And so, but we are still trying to get divorced while pregnant. And I really think maybe this year is the year. I think so. Missouri is one of like 8 states left who will not.
You know this, that you can't get divorced while you're pregnant.
You can file for divorce, but they will not finalize it until after you deliver your baby.
Wow.
Which it's just the dumbest thing. and there's like 15 other states where it's not necessarily like in statute like it is here, but the practice of their court system is that they don't do it either. So there's still a lot of opportunity for advocacy there. But especially in Missouri, there is, and it got really close to the finish line
It
here.
did.
And so I think next year that it could pass and maybe be one of the first bills that passes. So we hope for that. And then the other one that we are looking into is proof of name. So if you want to register to vote or get a real ID or anything like that, you have to prove your legal name. And I've been talking to John Voss, who is our local state rep here from Cape Girardeau, about this. And the idea that our counties might start providing the sealed, certified copy of your marriage license or your divorce decree when they are finalized, because this is an issue that affects women, predominantly because they're more likely to have changed their name. And it also, in the case of victims of domestic violence where they're having to recertify them, we have a lot of people who they have to get all their documents over again.
Right.
It would just be really helpful if they were able to get those things. So that's something that we're looking at as well.
I like that. Good.
I think it'd be a really simple fix that would really help a lot of people. So yeah, we're excited. I love public policy, as Holly knows. So our state coalition, the Missouri Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, has a public policy committee that I've been on now for a long, long time. And I just, we're just really helping people through changing laws, and it is neat to see.
It makes a difference, and having you guys testify in committee and that kind of thing. It's the true stories that make the point.
Absolutely.
And help people understand. And, I know my first session, and after I got up and told a story about, I don't know, I was working on a bill, probably the prescription drug monitoring program or something. And, afterwards I had people want to come up and give me a hug and be like, oh, I'm so sorry you went through that. And I'm like, no, I don't need a hug. Like I'm putting a face to the issue, because you guys need to see this isn't socioeconomic background. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And oftentimes that is what helps cement the need for a policy change in a legislator's mind, is when they can truly connect the dots. And so it's so important to have people from the trenches coming in, telling, what they're seeing, giving facts. Yeah. And so it's a haul for you to go up to Jeff City. I'm working.
As you know, there's no good way to get there from Cape Girardeau,
but it truly makes a difference. So thank you for that.
Yeah, well, we do really appreciate it. I think our legislative delegation has been so supportive and very, very welcoming, and always we try not to take up too much of their time, but they do make time for us, and I think they're really interested in what we in what we're doing and how we're helping people back home. And so yeah, it's been very positive.
Well, Teresa, do you have other questions?
I don't. I think she's answered them, and it's amazing.
Yes, thank you. Well, tell us again how someone should reach out if they watch this and they're like, I need to talk to them.
Yes. So we have a 24-hour hotline. The number is 573-651-1614. Or you can go onto our website, which is www.semosafehouse.org, and it has all the ways that you can contact us, including a text line. So if it's not safe for you to call, you can also text us, and we can do your entire hotline on text. Because sometimes you can't talk, you can't talk out loud where you are, but maybe you could be texting. So, someone, a crisis advocate is there to answer the phone 24 hours a day, and they're just the best people. And We know it's scary to make that phone call, and they are on the other end too of the line to make sure that it's a good experience for you.
Man, that's awesome. Okay, we're going to put all of this information in print form also on the podcast so that we can, and on Facebook, so that we can be sure to circulate this around and make sure folks get to know about you. And thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation. And like I said, thanks for helping us spread the word, because we just want to be sure everyone who needs our services knows that we're here for them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Teresa. I'm so glad that you thought about Jessica. That's exciting.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Jessica.
You too.
Very informational, and yeah, it was amazing. So
Thank you so much.
for your work that you do.
And we'll post this and I'll try to tag you, but sometimes it doesn't let me. So if it doesn't, I'll text you and say, hey, it's
Okay.
want to share it.
Yes, we'd love to. That would be great.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, afternoon. We'll
You
get
too.
posted soon.
Great. Thanks.